You know, 2024 is most definitely no stranger to failing video games. No stranger to the go woke, go broke sort of thing. This is, after all, the year that has brought us such wonderful and exciting games such as Dustborn and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. And of course, how? How can we forget the most recent absolute disaster, Concord? A game that released and was available to play for less than 2 weeks. Concord is a bigger disaster, though, than we actually thought it would be, because apparently Concord cost $400 million to develop. Coming here from that Park Place, rumor, and it is a rumor, but where it comes from, I tend to be on the leaning side of it's more than likely going to be true. So it says, rumor, Concord reportedly cost $400 million to develop. That does not include what it cost Sony to purchase the developer Firewalk Studios. So, and I don't know how much it costs for them to buy Firewalk, but I'm guessing it was at least 250 to 300 million in that general ballpark there. Let's just say 200 million. So if it costs them 200 million to buy Firewalk Studios, and then a combined 400 million on top of that, that is a $600 million investment for a game. So this is Firewalk Studios' first game. A game that took 8 years to develop. Yeah. So Colin Moriarty here on the the X, says, I spoke extensively with someone who worked on Concord, and it's so much worse than you think. Well, let's go to X and actually look at the video.
You really need to know here about this is that Concord cost about $400 million to make.
Oh my God.
And the story goes that Concord, by the time Concord was, so in the first quarter of 2023, Concord had been.
Okay, so he goes on to say that by time Sony has started pitching in money, probably Masters had already spent around $200 million to even get the game in the alpha state, which is basically like saying getting the game kind of running, getting a character to move across the screen. Very minimal things. And then Sony comes in after they bought the studio and were working with probably Masters, the owner, or we're working with Firewalk Studios beforehand to do this game, and still with another $200 million just to get it up to viability, just to get it up to the point where they could maybe be okay with releasing it. Maybe it would be okay. That's just, wow. He shared when the game had $200 million spent on it and was basically in alpha form in Q1 of 2023. From that point until the game launched, Sony spent another $200 million on it. Behind the scenes, the scuttlebutt about Concord was the game was a laughable shape when it was shown. Sorry, I can't speak today. Basically, when the alpha was ready to go, he continued, it was in such terrible, horrible shape that Sony felt they needed to spend that much money again. So 200 to get the MVP, minimal viable product, not to, yeah. How do you justify spending $400 million on something like Concord? How can you even mildly justify that? I don't see in any way, shape, or form how someone could justify spending $400 million on a looter shooter. A game that should be relatively cheap and easy to make, because there are lots of looter shooters they could easily just have copied and put a skin over. You know, preferably not the identity politics BS that was in it. I'm sure that didn't help the game any. A major expense was to urgently outsource fucking hell, much of the game to other studios to finish building the game out. 8 years of development, unless I'm getting that 8 years confused with somebody else. I may be. But a very long development cycle, and they couldn't even get it up to, well, basic bitch levels to put it out. And then Sony had to go out and hire new studios or other studios or in-house hire or whatever it would be to finish a game that was probably not going to be finished unless they did so. That is just, no, it's pathetic. And how did this game make it as far as it did? Well, apparently, as Moriarty claims, that the executives at Sony and I can talk today. And how did this game make it so far? Well, apparently, it was the executives. Moriarty claimed that the executives at Sony, and specifically PlayStation Studios boss Herman Hulst, were championing the game and believed the game could be their next Star Wars. I am going to go out on a limb here and say this game is pretty far from Star Wars. Matter of fact, it's the exact opposite of Star Wars. It's shit. And I am obviously talking about Star Wars, not Disney Star Wars. Two completely different things. They described it as the future of PlayStation, that they had such major ambition for this game, refer to it internally as a Star Wars product for Sony. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me any, because I don't know, they look at things like Star Wars and still think they're viable things, but they're not anymore. Star Wars isn't viable anymore. It's just a corpse that they bring out now, trudge around, and they, maybe put Vader or Anakin in something and get the member berries going, and the normies and the shills on YouTube and shit jump on and go, oh my god, it's so wonderful, so great, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, it's so wonderful. Give me money, please, daddy. Anyway, okay, what does it say now? He shared that there was a toxic positivity vibe where you weren't allowed to say anything internally about this game. That's because why would you be allowed to make a suggestion that may actually help improve a game? Why in the world would you as a team member be allowed to, I don't know, give your opinion on the product you are helping to make? Apparently this was Herman Hulst's baby, and he internally was himself a massive champion of the game. This is what happens when you get people who have no actual idea of what a video game is and does. When you get CEOs and the tops of companies that have no idea, none, about anything gaming-wise, this is what you get. It would be the exact same thing if, say, there was a national brand called Fishing Warehouse, which I'm sure there probably is. I've just never seen or heard of it. And instead of hiring people who know how fishermen think, know, hey, this brand of whatever is best for yada, 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 they get someone who, let's say, designs sunglasses for women. Two completely different things. And I don't think the female women sunglass designer is going to really have an idea of what material for what fucking fishing poles go where or whatever. It says, if what Moriarty and his source claim are true, Concord is an even more epic disaster than originally imagined, and it appears to point out massive incompetence in managerial malpractice at PlayStation. Because yes, of course, as usual, management ruins everything. DEI ruins everything. The fact they spent $400 million, or close to, if not more, really, $400 million on this absolute hunk of shit is in no way surprising to me at all. Anyway, as usual, if you enjoyed the video, do me the giant favor of liking, subscribing, sharing, and commenting below. And were you one of the few people who played Concord? And if you were, did you like it? And why did you like it? Because I wanted to play it just for the giggles. And by the time I got around to thinking about it, poof, it was gone. Anyway, you boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, have yourselves a great, wonderful, and as always, prosperous day. Bye-bye.